How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ethan Bridge. I'm host of the Social Media Marketing School podcast and the guy behind the Instagram page at The Marketing Ethan. But before we dive into today's video, please make sure, if you haven't already, that you have hit that subscribe button below. Now, when it comes to Instagram, I've been building my personal brand for quite a while now, and over the time that I have been building it, I've seen a lot of people making the same mistakes over and over and over again. They're very, very common. Now, that's why today I wanted to talk through 5 Instagram mistakes that you may currently be making. You may not be making any, but make sure you stick around because you may well be making just one of them. And that one could be holding you back from truly succeeding on the platform. So, without any further ado, let's just dive straight into the first one. Now, for the first one, some of you may not agree with me, but I personally believe that your feed should have some brand colors, some coherence. So the mistake is that you are not focusing on the way your feed does look. Now, I get people like Gary Vee telling you not to care how your feed looks like and that you should only be focusing on the value you provide within your content. Now, although I agree with some of that, the value side of it, he has a very, very different content strategy to the average creator on Instagram. He has a whole army of people creating content for him. Majority of us, we just have ourselves. We can't have that same output he has. So we then have to give ourselves advantages in other aspects. Now, when someone comes and looks at a personal brand, my page, for example, they're going to look at my bio, they're going to look at what I do, but they're also going to look at my content, how my feed looks like. People do judge a book by its cover on Instagram, and if your feed looks sloppy, in my opinion, when I'm looking at someone's page, I'm not attracted by the content they produce. I would prefer someone to be using brand colors. I would prefer someone to be caring about the way their content looked. Now, if you can push out 5, 6, 7 pieces of content a day, by all means, design and aesthetics may not be your number one priority, and that's fine because your output and content strategy is coming from a different angle. But if you are posting daily or every other day, you need to be focusing on that quality of your content and the way you are presenting that content, because I believe that when you show care in the way it looks and the way you are presenting your content, that portrays your attitude towards what you do. And it makes me much more likely want to follow you if you are taking care in that avenue. But another thing it does, if you have certain brand colors, if you have a certain style of content, when people are scrolling through the feed, consuming content, and they come across yours, they're going to instantly relate that piece of content to you because you've claimed that style, you've claimed those brand colors, and it can stop people in their tracks because if you are providing that value, then people are going to want to consume that piece of content because they associate your content with something that is worth consuming, and they know that, and they can tell it's your piece of content because of the brand colors you're using and the style that you've created that piece of content within. So, mistake number 1 is that you aren't focusing on your branding or the aesthetic of your feed. I personally think you should. Number 2. Now this is a big one. Many people do not create content based on the insights they are seeing from the posts that they have already created. You should not just create and hope. Just hope a piece of content performs well. You've got so much data available at your fingertips nowadays that all it takes is a little look at your insights to see what your audience actually likes consuming. I believe that 80 to 90% of the content you produce should be based on successful posts that you have already been creating. Why take the chance? If you know something's going to perform very well, if you know something is going to get you inbound leads, it's going to get you a high engagement, increase your following, why chance it on a regular basis with content that you have no idea is going to perform the way you want it to? Look at what's performed well. Take aspects of that. Replicate that success. That is going to be what streamlines your growth on the platform. Now, I say 80 to 90% of the time because I do believe that you should have times where you do experiment with your content, because there may be that one idea that you think of that could become the next viral piece of content you produce. And you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't tested it in the first place. So do leave some room for experimentation. But if you really want to streamline that growth, if you really want to be producing content that your audience actually wants to consume, please, please, please just look at your insights. Know your numbers. Know what performs well, what doesn't perform well, so you can create more of what does perform well and less of what doesn't. It's really that simple. But don't create content on a whim. Don't create anything and everything because you think it's going to perform well. All that data is there. Just look at it and it will help you. And it will help you grow and succeed and get more sales, get more clients at a faster rate than if you were just to guess. Number 3. Now, this is a very simple one for search and searchability and increasing the reach of your profile. It's your Instagram search engine optimization. And this is a very, very simple fix. But I see a lot of people not using keywords in their Instagram display names. I'm not talking about your username. I'm talking about the little one that's in bold that sits just above your bio. This, coupled with your username, is how people are going to find you in search. Now, I believe that the goal on Instagram is to be able to be found whether people know your name or not. So people should be able to find you if they are just simply searching for the niche you create content on, for content they want to consume. So for example, my display name is my name, Ethan, then I have a bullet point, and then I have social media marketing, because I create content on social media marketing. So if people are searching social media marketing in the Instagram search, my profile has the possibility to show up in search because I have those keywords. If you do not have the keywords for the niche you create content on in your display name, you are missing out on a huge amount of new potential audience members, new potential engagement, new potential clients, because people aren't going to be able to find you through search unless they know your name. So make sure that you are using the keyword for the niche you create content on in that display name, in that name that sits just above your bio. Very simple, but very, very effective. It also just helps in letting people know what you create content on and what to expect from your page when they first visit your profile. Very simple, very, very effective. Please make sure you are doing it, because I see so many people that aren't. Now, the final point that I want to mention, and that is closely relates to carousels but can apply to other content as well, is that when people create their content, they are not focusing on their headlines. So this may be a thumbnail for a video, or a title for an infographic, or the cover slide of your carousel. Your headline, that initial thing that people are going to consume first, is arguably the most important point of that post, the most important part. Now, I'm going to talk about carousels to try and explain why here. With a carousel, because the content, the value isn't on that first slide, you have to entice people to want to read the rest of it. So that cover slide is arguably the most important part of that post, because it needs to make people want to read the rest of that post. So the headline, the graphics you use, the cover is so important. And I see people spend far too much time on the body of the content, the slides thereafter, and then they neglect that cover slide. But nobody's going to get to experience or consume the rest of that carousel because you haven't given enough time and focused on the headline and the cover slide. So the value you provide after that is useless because people are never getting to it. You should be spending more time on that headline than you are on the rest of that post, because if you don't, and you don't entice that attention and actually make people want to read, the rest of that post is useless anyway. The same goes for your thumbnail image on your video, or the headline you may be using on your infographic, or the first line of your caption if the value you provide is within your captions. It's really that simple. But if you aren't enticing people, if you aren't grabbing that attention, if you aren't focusing on that headline, that attention grabbing slide, that attention grabbing thumbnail, nobody is going to want to consume the rest of that content. So those first 3 seconds of your video, the thumbnail, the headline cover on your carousel are so important. In my opinion, they are the most important part of the post. So please focus on them. Do not neglect them. Give them more time and thought than anything else. Because when you do, you make people actually want to consume the rest of the piece of content. And that wraps up the Instagram mistakes that I see people so commonly making. So if you were making one of them, make sure you fix it right now. Now that does wrap up today's video, but if you did enjoy, please make sure you've hit that subscribe button, hit that like button and turned on post notifications. That way you will never miss a video when I post one. But if you did enjoy today's video, I did just want to mention that this is a part of my podcast series, Social Media Marketing School, and the audio version of the podcast is the place to be because I release this content a lot sooner over there than I do here on YouTube. So I'll leave some links in the description below. Make sure you are heading down there and subscribing. But if you've got any questions with regards to anything that I've mentioned, please just reach out to me on Instagram @themarketingethan. Send me a DM and I'll make sure I get back to you no matter what. But I did just want to finish off by saying, if you did make it to this point in the video, thank you for tuning in and I will see you in the next one.